This is the Bulls Chat Podcast, talking North Iowa Bulls hockey. I am Joe Malone. Head coach, general manager of the North Iowa Bulls, Todd Sanden, is here. And, Coach, thank you for your time. How did it feel being back into regular season action after a 2-month pause to the season?
Geez, so happy to be back and play meaningful games, Joe. It's just, obviously, it's a different feel for your entire group when the points that you're playing for in the game actually matter.
Now, is that something that you had to talk up to the players? Like, hey, I know we've been doing scrimmages. We, did this contest versus this team, but this is the real deal. Or were they ready to go?
I think it's your due diligence as a coach to remind your guys, what's at stake. But our guys understood it, and they had a really good week of practice moving into those games up in Alexandria Saturday and Sunday.
You were on the road up in northwestern Minnesota taking on the Alexandria Blizzard, and not the restart to the season that you were looking for on Saturday night, as the Bulls managed 2 goals in a 3-2 loss. Both those goals coming about a minute apart in the middle of the second period, but it was kind of a rough way to lose a game with Alexandria scoring with 30 seconds left in the game to go up 3-2. What do you do with 30 seconds? I mean, do you run a play? Do you try and get the puck to a certain area or a certain player? What do you do to try and even that game back up?
Well, first of all, when you only have 30 seconds left, you don't have time to let your goalie go back in the net, so you have to take that center ice face-off with your goalie on the bench and the extra attacker out there. And you try to run a play off the center ice face-off where you can spring a guy with some space and some time to gain the offensive blue line with speed, and then hopefully just funnel as many pucks to the net and hopefully one in that you can.
Yeah, because there is time where you can kind of move pieces into place. It's not like 5 seconds where hope you win the face-off and just shoot and pray for the best.
Yeah. No, it's certainly a bit of duress when you only have 30 seconds to try to tie a game back up, but it is enough time to be able to do it.
Now, Bulls answering back on Sunday against Alexandria, picking up a 5-3 win. Bulls were up 1 after the first period, but then gave up 3 straight goals. What were you feeling at that point, middle part of the second period, where it's like we had a lead and now we're in a big hole?
Honestly, Joe, ticked off. I was not happy. We talked about the discipline necessary to win games in the West Division, and we were not even near disciplined enough, taking some penalties, and quite honestly, some stupid penalties that, gave Alexandria some very good chances to get scoring opportunities, and they capitalized.
Well, I think the first goal was on a 5-on-3 power play, and then the second goal on the continuation of that 5-on-4 power play, and then picking up an even strength goal. Do people kind of squeeze in next to each other to try and get away from you when you're ticked off like that? Do you find a lot of room in front of you on the bench?
No, because when you've done it as long as I have, you still have to protect your attitude and stay positive with your guys. So I think they probably felt the same way. They knew they weren't as good as they should have been with the discipline, and they ended up paying a price for it. But the nice thing about it, there was enough game time left where if you kind of buckled down on your discipline and got after a little bit more with your effort and execution, you still had time to, get a goal or 2 back to try to tie it up and eventually, hopefully, take the lead and win.
Yeah, and that's what the Bulls did as the pendulum swung Alexandria's way in the first half of the second period. It swung back hard to the Bulls in the second half of the second period. New Power, UTEC, Kaneko, all picking up goals. All, correct me if I'm wrong, all different lines contributing in that comeback effort, all in the second period.
Yeah, and that's really the trademark of this team. There's a lot of depth on this team. We don't have a singular super high-end forward or even, Cal Noss as a defenseman leading our team in scoring might be that guy in our group possibly, but at the forwards, it's a super deep group of forwards. And that's what we need for this team to be successful. We need all 4 lines to play responsible and potentially chip in offensively.
Now, in a season, I guess a season and a half of abnormalities that the Bulls have been through here in the pandemic, one more wrinkle was added on as part of Minnesota's mandate for competitive athletics. masks are required during competition. I know you practiced with masks on. Was that easy for the players to adjust to? Did that bring up any issues or anything like that?
You know what? I'll go back to, how we handle it as coaches. And if we, complain about it and grouse about it, then it trickles down to your players. And basically the message to our kids was, here's what we have to do to play hockey. If you don't want to play hockey, you don't have to wear a mask, but to be in these games and play them, this is a requirement now. It's just like a helmet. You have to wear a helmet to play the game. It's just another piece of equipment. Is it cumbersome? Yes, it is. Is it hard to make that adjustment? I think it will take time to, where guys are 100% comfortable with it. But it's one of those is what it is things that you have to do to play, and there's no really way around it.
Now, I got a question. I heard about some officials, and I'm not sure if this was basketball or hockey or what it was in Minnesota, were using electronic whistles. Was that the case in these games?
Not a chance.
No, okay.
Is that a thing, really?
Yeah,
electronic whistle.
I had heard some conversation, and I'm not sure if it was high school up in the Brainerd area, but an official up there was saying they were switching to electronic whistles, some officials, just because it reduced the amount of time of pulling down the mask, blowing the whistle, all of that sort of stuff.
Okay, I'll give you the other side of that whistle thing. I know there's times when I blow my whistle really hard late in practice. There's a fair amount of stuff that flies out the end of it. So maybe it's a safety issue as well.
I was just thinking, because the time it takes to go raise your arm up and blow into a whistle versus just hit a button, I can add a couple of seconds here or there onto a game. So
absolutely.
Now, let's talk about this. This just announced, I think today, or at least the beginning part of this week, the rescheduled games for the North Iowa Bulls. It is going to be a very busy February and March and end of January as well. Just running down some of the rescheduled dates for home contests. It is February 21st at home versus Alexandria, a Thursday night game, March 4th, against Wilmer, and then a pair of games against Granite City on March 19th and 20th. And it looks like the Bulls are going to be playing basically 1 out of 3 days. I mean, you have a number of back-to-back-to-back nights, but just about 1 out of 3 days from here till the end of the season, it's game night. How do you manage that? How do you get the conditioning right to pull off a sprint like this?
Well, I think what it's going to mirror an extended playoff series. I mean, there's a lot of sets in there where we'll play the same team 3 times in a row, which, as you know, our playoff series are 3-game series. So I like that aspect of it. Like in the second half of the year, and maybe in a regular year, you're in as good a shape as you're going to be in. There's not a ton of conditioning that goes into the second half of the year. So that's not a major issue. The one thing that you do maybe potentially suffer with is the practice time where you're executing systems or system changes or trying to dial in your power play if it wasn't good the weekend previous. Kind of like last weekend up in Alexandria, we struggled on the power play. So in practice this week, we'll add a couple of wrinkles, maybe take a couple out to try to simplify some things and add more speed to it. But it's just like we got to the 40-game point, and hopefully we don't have any, shutdowns where we have to reschedule more games. But the kids need to play, and we're getting our full schedule in of games with that format. So we're happy to be playing. But, yeah, it's a super compressed schedule.
Now, how does this affect playoffs and Fraser Cup? Does everything just kind of move back a couple of weeks from when it would have started?
Yeah, exactly. It's everything is just moving back 2 weeks. Like it's the regular season got pushed back 2 weeks, so the playoffs will follow just like they normally would.
Well, that means that the chances for tailgating weather for the playoffs increase.
Yeah, you know what? I'll tell you, with some restrictions being lightened in Iowa and in our facility, we're looking forward to hopefully bigger crowds so people can get out. And obviously, wearing masks and social distancing is still a part of what we're dealing with. But they have opened up more opportunity for people to get to the rink. So that being the case, man, we would love to have this place as full as we can get it.
Mm-hmm. Now, up next is Friday night at the Mason City Arena, taking on Alexandria. Very familiar with them, splitting the series this past weekend. And then Saturday night, Wilmer. And listen to this, Wilmer, last two games, and they play Alexandria tomorrow night, the 20th. But the previous two games beat Alexandria, beat Granite City, one of two teams to do that this season. So you've got a full plate of planning ahead for Friday and Saturday night.
So that is what the nature of COVID has done. It's increased the level of play in the NA3HO West Division for sure. And I mean, Wilmer's added some players. Actually, we moved a player up there, Ben Lukey, who played with them and was part of that successful weekend for them last weekend. So you're looking at, there are no easy opponents at all in the NA3HO West Division right now. You have to be dialed in and have your best game for every opponent.
That's what we like, good competition, and hopefully some good Bulls wins Friday and Saturday night. Now, one of the big talkers right now is the lottery. Are you a lotto guy, Coach Sanden?
No, but I feel like I have to go get a ticket at some point today.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just too much money to let somebody else win.
Between the Mega Millions being at, $700 or $800 million, and the Powerball, the other one, $700 or $800 million, would you pick a line that you would just play those numbers, like whatever your top scoring line is? Or how do you go about picking your numbers for the Powerball?
I tell you what, I never thought about that, but maybe if I went over and picked my favorite player numbers over the years, that might be a winner for Coach Sanden.
And then whatever your favorite goalie is your Powerball number, just like that.
Right on.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for the time as always here on the Bulls Chat podcast, and we'll see you at the rink this weekend.
Joe, we really appreciate it, and we're super excited to get back in the Mason City Arena and get some hockey played there.
That is the head coach and general manager of the North Iowa Bulls, Todd Sanden.